The White House, President Trump signed another executive order, one titled Fostering the Future of American Children and Families. It's an order from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services wide effort. Its purpose is to promote the welfare of foster children and also protect the constitutional rights of foster parents. So what all more specifically does this executive order call for? I think that's a fascinating discussion. And here now to discuss it with me is Moms for Liberty CEO, Tina Descovich. She was actually at the White House for the signing of this executive order. Tina, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
All right, now, some people may be scratching their heads wondering why was an executive order like this necessary. So why don't we start there? Why was it necessary, and what's your overall assessment of it?
So in America, we have a problem lately of neglecting our most vulnerable children in the country. And I think it really came to light during COVID when we put children in the back seat, basically kept schools closed, listening to special interest groups, listening to teachers' unions and their needs and their political desires, putting them ahead of children. And the children that suffered the most through that were the most vulnerable children: poor students, students and families in poverty, special needs students. It was remarkable to watch that unfold. And another area of society that has been neglected over the last several decades are children in foster care. One thing that we know for sure is only 50% of foster kids actually graduate high school, and only 3% go on to earn a degree. And so, the American dream should be available to all Americans, including our foster children.
Absolutely. So let's kind of springboard from there and give us a reality, because I know there's many who are watching, listening right now who either have already done so or are considering, praying about becoming foster parents. Give us the reality of what many Christian mom and dads are looking for when it comes to this issue of fostering or adopting. What are some of the issues that they're facing? And what would you say to them as they're going down this path to potentially foster a child?
Of course, you have to prayerfully consider it before you bring anyone into your home. But is there a greater way to show Jesus' love than to care for a child who has no parents, or who has parents that have failed them miserably if they've ended up in foster care? And so, in my opinion, there's nothing more beautiful you can do than take on a foster child and raise them and nurture them. I grew up in a home with a single mother, 4 children. My mother did not finish high school, and it was a big struggle. I did not grow up in the foster care system, but I absolutely needed other adults in my life to help me be successful. I almost became a high school dropout myself. I absolutely had no intention of ever going to college, let alone graduating. But there were parents in my life of my friends that kind of took me in, drove me and said, I will take you to take the SAT. You're going to take it. I'm going to pay the $25 because you need to have a bright future. And if adults, caring, loving adults, didn't step in my life at that time, who knows where I would be today?
Yeah, great point. And at the same time, we have a lot of states, different agencies who are very hesitant at best when it comes to placing children with Christians. What are the reasons that these various states or agencies give for wanting to disallow Christians from adopting or being foster parents?
One of the things that executive order yesterday did was help protect against, I'd say, discrimination from states against Christian parents. And so we're very thankful to First Lady Melania Trump and President Trump for that executive order yesterday. As you probably well know, and your viewers know, in some states like Colorado and California, they say this is an LGBTQ rights issue. And so if you are a Christian in your home and you are raising your children with biblical principles, they say it's a conflict to put a child in your home if you do not affirm transgender children.
Wow. So does this type of discrimination, I think that's really what it boils down to, does it happen with parents of other faith backgrounds, or is this discrimination just reserved for Christians?
What we've been seeing in America lately, it's been reserved for Christians. I don't know of any current cases of maybe a Muslim family or something of that nature, but I would assume that it would extend to other faiths. We have more Christians than anything in the United States, and so we are obviously going to see more cases of that.
I was really encouraged watching this yesterday, how President Trump made just some powerful references to Scripture in signing this EO. How did that impact you?
I always love when President Trump ventures over into Scripture and the spiritual natures of things. 2015 leading up to 2016, I wasn't so sure about President Trump. I had reservations. I had a hard time voting for him in 2016, even though I did. And just watching his spiritual growth over the years, and especially since what happened in Pennsylvania last year, it's just been remarkable to witness. And I have a lot of pleasure, and I get a big smile on my face, and to be in the room there while he is discussing Scripture and watching his spiritual growth is fun.
Yeah, I had the exact same feeling with that because I had the same reservations that you did initially, really not knowing much about him, but to see how far he has come and his willingness to speak out boldly on these truths has just been fascinating. Thank you so much, Tina Descovich, from Moms for Liberty. Always great to have you. We appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. Have a great weekend.